everyone, my name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the differences between reading on an ebook of some sort such as Kindle or reading a physical book, because I think there's pros and cons to both, and I just wanted to go over them today with you guys in case you're deciding if you want to get a Kindle or an ebook or continue reading physical books or whatever it may be. I'm sure we've all participated in reading in a physical book, and some of the things I love about physical books is just the fact that you're able to physically hold the book. As we progress with technology, I just feel like we spend all of our time now in front of screens, watching screens, being on a screen in Zoom or whatever it may be. And sometimes it's just nice to just open up and not be looking at a screen, because ultimately a Kindle is a screen. I also just love going physically to bookstores, and I get like a high buying books in the bookstore, which I don't have the same kind of effect as I do with an ebook. I love to actually physically go into the store, look around, pick up the books, look at them, read the little synopsis in the back, and physically buy the books. There's also certain types of books that you'd prefer to just have physical. I have like an illustrated book. It has all these pictures and drawings, and I would prefer to see them on a physical book versus a Kindle, especially because the Kindle is black and white. This might be kind of minor and niche, but this book, for example, is signed from the author, which won't be the case. If anything, it'll be a copy of a signature, but not the actual signature. So things like that. You can physically write on the book and all things like that. So those are the main things that I find to be pros about physical books. Now, looking at Kindles, so there's all kinds of Kindles. I don't have any longer the most recent Kindle. They have like the Paperwhite and all kinds of other Kindles, and also there's like the Barnes & Noble Nook. I don't keep up with the latest versions of it, but this is the one that I have, just kind of the most basic one. So when you open it up, it like has to wake up, and then you scroll, and then I'm actually in the middle of reading a book, so I'm gonna go to the home page. So in the home page, you can just see all your different books that you have. It's definitely pretty nice, and there's a lot of different pros that I have with the Kindle or ebooks in general, and I was that type of person for the longest time that just wanted to read physical books. But now that I have the Kindle, I definitely love both versions, but I think the pros with the Kindle are many. One is that I have behind this couch, I have like a kind of like a built-in shelving unit surrounding the TV, and a lot of my stuff in there is like old things from my childhood that are either sentimental, or I'm just a hoarder, or things that I just can't part with, and it's just like kind of gotten cluttered over the time. And I would say like 80% of what's in those shelves are books, and I'm not typically somebody that likes to reread books just because there's so many books out there, and my list of physical books and my list in like my brain on my Goodreads that I want to read, or the books that I have on my Kindle that I bought, is never ending, and I can never keep up with all the new books I'm finding that I want to read. So I'm not going to go out of my way to reread a book. I've done it before, but it's very rare for me. And so once I read a book, I'm done with it, and now it's just taking up space in my home and adding to the clutter. A lot of times I do love the look of books and bookshelves, but for me, they just are kind of hidden behind those drawers, or I'll line them against like the couch or the wall or something like that, and they just kind of, once I'm done with them, I'm done with them, and they just add clutter. So that's definitely something that isn't ideal. And another thing is, I also love to travel and read on the go as well. Definitely lately I've been reading almost always at home, so it's not as big of a deal, but I do love the ability to be able to read on the plane to like kill time, or read at the beach, at the pool, at the park, whatever it is. And I actually have some upcoming trips, one literally next week now, which is crazy. And bringing, as you can guess, hardcover books like these, it's just not very ideal when traveling, especially if they're hardcover, if they're bigger, if you're reading quite quickly and you're wanting to bring multiple books, or you're reading multiple books at the same time. And having all your books literally in this tiny little thing that's like, honestly, it's about the height of my iPhone. It's thinner than my iPhone when my iPhone's in its clunky case. it's just a little bit wider. So it's crazy to think that. And it's just so much more convenient when it comes to traveling. Another thing is, I'm sure a lot of you also know, ebooks are a lot cheaper than physical books. A lot of these physical hardcover books are going to be costing nearly $30 each, like $25, $28. Paperback books, if you're lucky, maybe down to like 16, but they can still be in the 20s. And I think the most I've ever paid for an ebook was like $15 because it was a brand new book. But normally they are like $11 and less, and that's really amazing. And then you don't have to deal with the mess of it. So that is what I love about the Kindle. It's very customizable. So as you can see down here, you can see how much is left in the entire book to read. And if you click down here, you can, I honestly don't know what this means. If anyone knows, let me know. I never have it on this setting. And then you can have nothing if you're like distracted by that. You can have the page number. I'm so close to 300, I didn't know. Or you can have the amount of time that is left in the chapter. So here, there's 12 minutes left. I typically like to have it on this setting. And then I also love to know how much percentage-wise I'm done. If you want to see how it's going to look like ahead of time, you can make it smaller and kind of look to see visually like how long the chapter is. You can do other things such as changing the font, changing the size of the text, how compact it is. I really like to have space in my fonts when there's a lot of words in one page and it's very cluttered. It makes it harder for me to read. It feels overwhelming and I don't like it. So with the Kindle, it typically has already a pretty good font, as you can tell, and it's not cluttered or anything. But if you want the letters to be even bigger, for there to be even more space between the lines, you can change all of that, which I really do love. And one thing that I found recently, this app called Libby. What Libby is it is an app you can get on your phone, and from there you can put in your library card, like your local library card, or you can sign up for a new one. I just signed up for a new one because it has been honestly probably a decade since I've gone to my library. And from there you can virtually put holds and sign up to read books for free because it is a library. And that is so amazing. I spent so much money on books recently, but with the Libby app, I was able to download books for free. And the only thing is that you may have to wait a certain amount of time because there's only a certain amount of e-copies, and so there's a wait. And then once you download the book, you only have it for about a month, like 21 days. But I would say for the most part, it is very worth it because you are getting the book for free. For example, as you can see, all these different books, I got I Am, and What Happened in Wuhan, along with this book, Women Don't Owe You Pretty. All those books I got for free off of the Libby app. I just have an X amount of time to read it before I have to return it, but that is really amazing and I love that. So this is how the app looks like. So from here you can see the books that I can borrow, the books that I've put on like a wait list. And for this one, there's so many books that were able to be downloaded right away or within like a 2-week span that I can't read them all because there's a time limit. I just asked to suspend my hold so that I can wait to read it. But these are all the different kinds of books that you can put on a hold. Of course, like the newer ones, there's a longer wait list. This like is a pretty new book that just came out. This one has the longest one, but a lot of these books have become available faster than what it said it would, like this A Little Life. It told me 3 weeks, I believe, and it's been only maybe a week and a half. And so I'm not ready to read this book. So what I can do is I can manage the hold, and then from here I can deliver later and then tell them how long I want to wait. So it says here, how many days do I want? I honestly do not want to read this anytime soon. So I'm going to do update hold. Honestly, I heard that this is like my favorite current booktuber. She said that this book is the saddest book she's ever read. So now I'm kind of scared to read this book, but I'm just going to put it on hold. So that is one thing I've recently found about the Kindle that I love so much. And what you basically do is I have an Amazon account, so what you do on Libby is you link your Amazon account, and then from there, when it's available, you basically, there's an option to say, I want to read this on my Kindle, and then click like send to Kindle, and then the next time you open your Kindle up, you will see it. I would show you guys, but like I said, once I download it, I only have like 21 days to read it, and I just started a new book yesterday, and then there's 2 other books that I need to read, so I don't have the time to add another book. But yeah, so that's kind of been the pros and cons to reading ebooks versus physical books. And for me, one thing I love to do is go physically to a bookstore and kind of see in person the different covers and read the bios and make a list and notes on especially my Goodreads accounts to see what I want to read, and that's where I like to discover new books mostly. There are times where I discover books through booktubers, through Goodreads, through friends, all that stuff, but one of my favorite ways is to go to a physical bookstore, and then from there I'll check Goodreads and see what other people are rating it, and then from there decide if I want to have them as a physical book or as a digital book. For example, My Little Life or Pachinko, which I'm currently reading, I felt like the words were way too crammed on each page in the physical book, so I decided to get the ebooks of them. But then a book such as This Time Tomorrow, I found the cover to be beautiful, and I loved like the colors and how it kind of glistens in the light. Plus, it's a signed copy, which you won't have as the ebook. And it has the kind of like, when you read, it has this rainbow on the edge. Minor things, but I really loved it. Plus, this is from a local bookstore, and I do also like to support local bookstores because obviously when you go to Libby, when you buy books on your Kindle, you're either just going to your library or supporting Amazon. And so I do occasionally also like to just buy physical books to support local bookstores. So that has been my review of different ways to read, physical and ebooks. And I love to have both versions for different reasons, like I have explained. But if I had to choose one option, that I could only go with this one option like forever or for the majority of the time, I would have to choose an ebook actually. And I did not think I would say that in the past, but it's just so convenient. It's cheaper. Now I found ways to read books for free, and it reduces clutter, and I can really customize how the pages look. One reason I just remember that I really like reading from an ebook is my favorite place to actually read is right before bed in the dark. So laying horizontally, turning out the light, and once you're done with the book, going straight to bed. I found I don't have like issues falling asleep, thankfully, typically, but I found that it's a better way to start kind of or end my night and start sleeping, and it makes me more tired, and I just really love it. I think it's much better for you than like watching a really bright screen, a YouTube video, Netflix, TikTok, whatever it may be. But reading a book, you can lower down also the brightness, which is you know, another thing I forgot to mention. There's just so many things that I forgot to mention now that I'm thinking about it, but it's just so light, so me being able to just lie down and read the book in bed and then adjust the brightness because I am in the dark is amazing. I remember there have been lots of times where I wanted to do that, but I was reading a physical book and I had to keep the light on. And there have been times where I was reading a hardcover book and my hand just cramps up because it's hard to keep open for a long period of time, especially if I'm lying down or leaning back in some way. And there have been times where I dropped the book on my face. Another great reason why I love the Kindle is it just supports my favorite style of reading. So yeah, that has been my comparison of the two. Let me know what you guys prefer, if you've tried reading off a Kindle, what you prefer, and any books that you have recommendations for me to read or anything like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I hope to see you in a future video of mine. Bye!